Piano Tech Radio Hour. I'm Ethan Janney. We'll get started here in a moment. We'll let in our live Zoom audience. We've also got the folks on the socials. Hello, if you're on the socials. Welcome to the Zoom call, guys. We were just welcoming the social streams. We're going to get started here momentarily. I'm just going to intro the program. We're going to dive right in. But yeah, welcome. Take your seats, as it were. Justice, I'll make sure you're co-host so you can manage participants, let them in, and all that good stuff. Folks, as always, if any questions or comments come up, feel free to put them in the chat and engage, but no pressure there. I'm going to intro the program. We're going to get going. This is Piano Tech Radio Hour. I want to welcome you all here once again. For the folks that are always here, we really appreciate you making this a part of your Saturday. If you're new, we welcome you as well. Each Saturday for many years now, we've been meeting with and learning from the most fascinating and knowledgeable folks in the piano and music world. This might include a manufacturer, a rebuilder of pianos, a musician, a maker of some other instrument, and of course, there's always piano techs here. Our mutual goal is to become better at our crafts, to help each other, and to create an ever more musical world together, harmonious, rhythmic as well. Piano Tech Radio Hour is brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclass. It's an online learning resource that brings you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. Find out more at pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. You can subscribe to this program, Radio Hour, for just 16 bucks a month. You get direct access to each week's private Zoom call, as well as all the archival recordings of well over 200 episodes in our member area. You can join using the link bit.ly/join PTRH, bit.ly/join PTRH. Also, shout out to our podcast, pianotechradio.com, where you can get audio only versions of this content. We were on pause for a little bit. Now we're releasing again. Go check it out. We have global recognition, top 100, top 10, number one, sometimes in various locales in performing arts category on iTunes. Check out the blog on Substack. You'll find some cool content there, including a recent announcement of a related project, which I can mention briefly soon. And then also go to the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Go to the website. And once you're on the website, you can subscribe to our email list, get updates there on everything cool that's going on. All right. I would love to introduce our guest for the day. This is the illustrious Allison Miller, recognized as a fearless innovator in contemporary jazz. Allison's work bridges genres and communities. Her latest project, Rivers in Our Veins, commissioned by Mid-Atlantic Arts Organization and Lake Placid Center for the Arts, melds music with tap and modern dance, inspired by the cultural histories and environmental importance of America's rivers. She has shared the stage with Brandy Carlisle, Ani DeFranco, Toshi Regan, Natalie Merchant, and performs with Blue Note's powerhouse collective Artemis. Whether behind the kit or leading an ensemble, Allison's music resonates with flow, renewal, and deep humanity. Allison, welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour.
Hi. What a great bio.
Thank you. Yes, well, you made it happen.
Well, you
You
made it
lived the
sound so
life.
good.
Yeah. I'll mention this. I've been meaning to mention this. There's a guy, he's kind of like a vocal expert, and his name is Roger Love. And he's sort of in some of the same circles. And I heard him talk recently about how we all could talk more musically.
Mm.
Um, and so for example, using the various ranges of our voice, pausing, like all this stuff. And I've been trying it out. And I thought of it today, actually. I mean, it kind of goes inherently with thinking musically and pitch-wise, but rhythmically too. Oh my gosh. Like different rhythms of how you speak can make changes everywhere. So anyways, all that to say I've been practicing lately.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that because often I have my students transcribe a speech rhythmically
Mm.
and then
Oh,
perform that on the drums. It really helps them play more musically.
It's that is very cool. I love that.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
right up my alley.
I'm going to start speaking more. Yes, I agree.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Terrific.
It just as an aside, I've also been thinking about this a lot lately. It's like they say that so much of our communication, I don't know what the percentage of it is, body language, right? And also like tone and
Mm,
musicality of your voice. And it's so hard because it those they're the things that you kind of don't have as much control over. But I guess if you can pull in a command and a control of it, you're even that much better. Those are the
hmm.
subtle things, right? Most people forget.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Let's start where I like to start.
Mhm.
It's a little bit cliche, but it's fun to go back in history to your childhood and say, um, what was your first encounters with music and how did you first start to understand that this might be your life, music?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, actually. And music was, I don't really even remember an introduction because it was there from the very beginning. It was just part of our life, part of our culture. My mother is a choir director, and my father was a recording engineer, and he was really involved with church, the musical side of church as well. So,
Mm,
from a very early age, I was in the church singing whatever my mom told me I was supposed to sing that weekend. With my sisters. We would sing in trio, and then yeah, I mean, we had piano. We always had at least two pianos in the house. Actually, maybe one when I was younger, but then once my dad built his studio in our basement, we had another piano. My mom had harps. They were just like the musical instruments were part of the furniture of my house and
mm,
our upbringing. So it just seemed completely natural. And I don't really ever think once I got going, I really questioned whether music would be a primary part of my life or not. Maybe I didn't exactly know I would be making my living playing and composing, but I definitely knew that it would be right up there, a very important part of my life. And it just kind of always was. Yeah.
mm.
Mm.
That's beautiful. I'm getting a note now from one of our audience that your volume's a little low.
Oh,
Um, but it's strange.
uh,
I'm hearing you fine, but I guess I have these tight headphones on, so I don't know if you have an adjuster.
um, how's that? Is that
Well,
better?
that
Is that
well,
too
that's
much?
I'm getting a thumbs up. Is that good for
Is
folks?
is
Is it
that
too
good?
loud? Bill's giving me a good thumbs up, so I'm gonna go with that. I'll turn
Okay.
my volume down a little bit, but that's good.
That's good, everybody?
I think you're good. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Cool. Um, yeah, now it's kicking. I can really hear it.
yeah, coming through.
I'll try to speak up.
I don't think. Yeah, I think now you're good.
Okay.
Uh, so you don't have to force it. You're good. But yeah. So, anyways, musical household. Dad, recording engineer, instruments everywhere. Knew it was going to be
Mhm.
part of your life. Sorry to interrupt, but and then you knew music was going to be a part of your life. Weren't quite sure the pathway. But yes, continue. Go for it.
Yeah,
Anything
I
else?
mean,
Yeah, that was it.
yeah, and then my mom, drumming was always really in the forefront, and my mom did what a good mom should do, and she kind of said, "Okay, you can play drums, but you have to learn how to play piano first." So that's she taught me piano, and
Mm,
I am extremely grateful to her for that because now I'm equally composing as well as playing drums. So
yeah, that's wonderful.
yeah.
All right. Well, we always like to hear that on this program because, as I mentioned, I like to I stray a far field from piano technicians nowadays. But this
Mm.
program started out for just piano techs during the pandemic. Wondering if their jobs were dead. But we always like to
Yeah.
hear, when people have such rich experiences with that acoustic instrument and I'm assuming so you use a piano to compose these days. You probably are you
Mhm.
performing on it at
It's right
all? Like,
behind this computer. I mean,
okay,
it's right there.
okay.
Yeah,
An
I have a
acoustic? Do you have an acoustic?
yeah,
No offense if you don't.
it's a baby grand.
Mm-hmm.
It was my teacher's, my first drum set teacher's piano, and he gifted it to me when he passed.
Hmm.
and it's a kind of a B brand, Fisher, New York, an older New York company, Fisher,
Okay.
and it's lovely. And then I also have a really beautiful 9 foot Steinway
All right.
that's in my parents' house. My father passed 2 years ago, and he left it to me in his will. So I have I need to buy a house to fit that to fit that piano
Tell me
because
about it.
I live in New York City, so I live in an apartment that cannot fit another piano in it. So
Yeah.
I
Yes.
have an embarrassment of riches.
No, you need to get a little cabinet in the Catskills at least or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm very familiar with those problems. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, yes. So right now, just for context for you, I live in the Chicago area, but I lived in New York from around 2009 to 2016. That's where I founded a piano tuning business there called Floating Piano Factory.
Mm.
And so we still operate there. Um, and it's a different world. A lot of the folks that are tuning into this program, I mean, some of them live in just middle America, Kansas rural area where, maybe even, your address doesn't quite even make sense on a map or something, right?
Mm.
Because you're so remote, or even people in like Peru or Italy or whatever, all over the place. New York is a very specific place for piano tuners, but also just musicians and piano owners. The
Hmm.
prospect of having a beautiful, even though you have all these talented, wonderful pianists and musicians, the process of actually having an acoustic piano in your home seems quite daunting. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I feel very lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Hmm.
Um, I want to check out some of these performances that you shared momentarily here.
Yeah.
Got some recordings that are cool. So maybe one of the ones that involves some tap dancing would be cool, and would love to just hear how that got on your radar, how
Yeah.
involving dance and tap came in the picture.
Yeah. Well, I think as we decide to do this for a living, we don't really, we don't know our path, what's going to happen. We just have to be open and curious to what's happening
Hmm.
in front of us and around us. So, throughout the years, I was, primarily when I moved to New York, I was primarily making my living drumming as a side musician, and then slowly started composing, and kind of that's when the band leading element came on board. And I was doing all this, contemporary modern jazz for many years. And I would say about 20 years ago, maybe 15, I don't know, time is weird, but I all of a sudden woke up one day and I thought, wait, I'm not dancing anymore. Like I'm not playing with dancers and I'm not actually dancing because I used to really dance a lot. I tap dance as a kid.
Mm.
I loved just social dancing. And I somehow in the pursuing of my career, I had let the dancing fall by the wayside. And I thought, well, that's just ridiculous because I'm a rhythm maker. I'm a drummer. It has to be
Mhm.
connected to dance. And so I really made a mission to connect with dancers and try to work with dancers more. And I don't know, I put it out in the universe, and about 3 or 4 years later, I was musical director for a couple different choreographers in New York and really immersed myself in that community. A lot of tap, but also a lot of other contemporary modern dance. And specifically two great dancers, Michelle Dorrance, who has a great company called Dorrance Dance, and Camille Brown, who's an incredible choreographer, does a lot of Broadway stuff as well. So, I have a long relationship with those folks. And through that, I knew that eventually someday I wanted to make my own piece with dance. And this commission that I received, the commission came in 2018. And uh, at first, I didn't know that I was going to have dance and eventually video as well. But as I researched the project and researched the five rivers that I chose to focus on, I realized that I wanted a human movement component on stage. And then later, I realized I wanted video as well, to show
Mhm.
nature and show some of these river images.
Love it.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah. I bit off more than I could chew, but it worked out for me.
Well, I mean, I have some. background in tech, and I know for some artists that's like very annoying. They don't like that world, but I think about AI a lot and I utilize AI a lot, and I think about as you're talking, I'm like, this is exactly the type of stuff that AI is not going to be doing, right? Or it's going to be trying to hey, come up with some kooky, crazy, creative idea, and it's really not going to get there, you know? So I love that you're thinking this way because this is also like you said earlier, when you go into a creative life, by the nature, it's creative. That's the nature. There's no plan for it. There's no, oh, and then you make your symphony at 18 or what, you're creative, therefore you're supposed to make something that there wasn't a path for it, right?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
never know what's around the corner. I mean, that's I feel like that's the beauty of it, and I can really connect with that because I'm an improvising jazz musician. So
Hmm.
we thrive on the unknown. We love to make it up as we go, and we love that nervousness and that anxiety that comes along with not knowing what's going to happen next. I like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Almost makes me nervous if I do know what's going to happen
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which one of these
Well,
recordings should we check out?
it might be nice to show the actual trailer. So it gives kind
Okay.
of a very brief overview of the entire, what normally
Okay.
would be an 80-minute show through
Okay.
Composed. Uh, so it's the first video link I sent.
Okay.
And then
Is it
after that, maybe we could go in and show a little clip of more just tap. Huh?
okay?
Yeah.
Yes. And I have a couple of titles. One says just Rivers in Her Veins, Allison Miller. The other one says Rivers in Her Veins Trio with Ben Goldberg. Which one is more of the trailer, or do I need a different one? I also have the Luke
E-
Hickey and Allison Miller thing.
Look, play the very first one that says Rivers in Our Veins, Allison Miller.
That one. And was
Yeah.
that the one you were hoping for, or do I need
Yeah.
to? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Let me do a screen share here. Make sure we get the audio share as well. Okay.
And this is from a compilation trailer from a performance we did at Goucher College in Baltimore.
Okay. And you can see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Let's give it a go.
It's kind of delayed, but
you think it's worth going through the whole thing, or should we pause there? I'll stop for a second. I'll
I
pause
was
for
going to, yeah, we can pause there if you want.
we'll pause there. Yeah,
Yeah.
just for time. That's really cool. I'm I keep wondering if you use this as an excuse to travel.
Are
Did
you
did
kidding?
that happen?
This is an expensive excuse to travel.
Now, before you were while you were composing it, I guess. But I mean, oh, I got to do some research. I got to go down the Mississippi River or something like.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I
But
mean, touring.
it's funny. I kind of because I'm at the same time as I was commissioned. It's not like I didn't have anything else going on during that time. I was
Sure,
touring with my band Boom Tick Boom and Artemis, and I teach at a few different institutions. So,
sure.
and I have two kids. So my it was a little crazy, and sometimes I would squeeze in the river visits while I was on tour. I'd be like, "Hey
Okay,
guys, let's pull over on this
okay,
along the Susquehanna for 30 minutes."
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It is a great concept, though. I mean, and it is interesting. I mean, I love that it gives them. I love things like this where it's just a world. I'm always uh, you notice this when you see things like the Harry Potter. You have kids, the Harry Potter universe, or the the Marvel thing, and a world is created, and that's why people love it, right? Or the J.R.R. Tolkien with The Hobbit, and what you're doing here is you're creating a world that's not just a CD, There's video, there's dance, there's locations, there's,
yeah,
a lot of things to think about and consider. So that's very cool.
yeah. I mean, my whole hope to for each performance that we do is to create uh, a world and to create this special moment that we're all sharing together, whether you're in the audience or on stage, and to raise awareness around folks' relationship to their local waterways, right? So every time we perform the show, we collaborate with a river keeper in that
Mm,
area and we raise money for their organization. And, hopefully every single person in the room that night will leave thinking, you know what? Maybe this weekend I'll go pay a trip to the river, in my town. I think it's almost like a grassroots effort to get the word out because it's the piece is not, the message is not hammered over your head. There are no lyrics to the entire 80-minute suite, right? It's dance and creative music and video. So it's a very subtle message, but I do think it's powerful and I do think seeing the kind of collaboration that exists artistically on stage sends the message very clearly.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an important point that you're bringing up. It makes me think of all these river locations that I've been to throughout the globe. And when you see how a city treats the river, a
Mm.
city especially. I mean, this is what I'm thinking of because they have the capacity to build around it or not. And you see, I think for good, recently, it probably could be happening more, but you see this development along rivers in cities where they're trying to make it nice versus there might have been a period where it was purely industrial and it just kind of got very like bleak and but you look at like the Williamsburg, Greenpoint areas of Brooklyn and New York, and they're trying to make these riverfronts kind of revitalize them and make them go-to places
Yeah.
where you can actually appreciate the nature. Um,
Yeah, which is, a little bit of a double-edged sword because whether it's an industry or industrial runoff is the worst, but they make these kind of more these nicer upgraded riverfront areas, and those can have, humans, you bring in the human component anywhere and it's not always great, right? So sure, like you have these beautiful boardwalks along the riverbanks and stores and markets and all these things, but all of those, well, then it rains and all of that
mm,
produces runoff into the water as well. So it's
yeah,
it's tricky. The best thing to do is go camping along a river with a very small
yes.
carbon footprint, and then you'll be better off.
No, yeah, it's very true. It's very true. I've mentioned this a few times here and there just because it's always impressed me. There's been some research done about nature, and everybody can acknowledge you go into nature and it calms you a bit, right? But there's scientific research on this, and again, not to make it human centered, right? Because a lot of what you're talking about is sort of nature centered and you know the rest of the animal kingdom, but there's a mutual benefit there, and it is graduated and it's commensurate with how much nature you're in. If you're in a
Mm,
park in the city, it might, you know, lower your heart rate or whatever metrics it uses, they used in these studies a little bit or
mm,
for a little bit of time or intermittently. Well, but if you go to a large park, you know, like Central Park, well, it might be actually a little bit more of an effect on you positively on your system.
mm,
And if you're even more remote and there's less man-made things, it actually even have a higher effect on you positively on your system.
mm,
So that's also just another vote in favor of what you're talking about. Let's,
mm.
yes, it's nice to have a nice river walk or something, but not only is it not necessarily good for the rest of the nature that should itself have appreciation and engagement with the river, but
Yeah.
you going and sort of amplifying the natural aspects in and of themselves is better for everyone in some ways. Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, well, hopefully we'll get there. We've got, as long as we keep the planet alive, you know, we've got centuries here to
Yeah.
shift in these directions.
We're not doing a great job, but every day make a little, if everybody made a little effort every day, I think the planet might be around a little longer.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things, we're taking a side trip, but it's clear that these are things that are important to you, so I think we want to talk about them. Um, and myself as well. I'm fascinated with this idea. Education is something that also important to me, but I'm fascinated with this idea that we are still training children to be still in classrooms for as long as possible as like
Mm,
a training protocol that you should
mm,
be able to do this and you're not going outside and you're staying inside and that's your training that you're getting as far as the positive parts of education. Yet,
mm.
it's scientifically proven that it's less healthy for you than smoking to sit all day like we do. So
Yeah.
I I feel like we gotta move in this direction, you know, and I'm going to be trying to be doing my part as well in this when it comes down to education, because I do think it's just going to naturally go this way, that we're more integrated with nature as part of our work lives and how we're productive.
Mm.
Because it's just plain better for us. You know, there's almost a mythical idea that sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours or even sitting still for 8 hours is somehow your most productive state. I don't even think we're very productive that way.
No, not at all.
So, yeah.
Good point.
When you sit down, you get to shake all your
Yeah,
limbs
I get to move, so I'm
like
lucky.
mad.
Yeah.
It's quite a workout. Probably
Yeah.
the most workout you can get while sitting.
Yeah.
Um, which is it worth checking out another one of its clips right now?
Sure,
Um,
we could watch this. It's kind of a short one, the one with Luke and
okay.
myself. It's a moment in the suite of music. It's preceding a piece called "For the Fish," and it's a little just improv duo moment between me and Luke Hickey, who's a really, really incredible tap dancer. And this is kind of my favorite way to collaborate with tap dance, where I'm just holding brushes on a snare, old school. And when I play brushes on a snare, I think of them as feet, tap dancing feet.
Mm.
So it's really a chance for me to get in there with one other musician, a percussionist who happens to be a tap dancer, and improvise rhythmically. It's really fun.
Check it out. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a,
Oh,
there's no piano in that, but
that's no problem. I forget, was there a piano in the scene? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Um, yeah, I'm loving this theme too, especially with the dancers. You brought it up earlier, and we're touching upon it once again with what we just talked about, just moving the human body.
yeah.
Especially it's post-pandemic here. Um, with all the inclination. I mean, we're doing it right here. I'm sure we're on a Zoom call. Be nice to get in person, get in
Yeah.
touch in person. But um, as much as we can, taking this thing and getting it out there and moving it and being creative with our bodies. And it's so healthy
Yeah,
in so many ways. Yeah.
it is so healthy and it's so important. And also as a musician, especially a drummer, you know, our job is to make people move. And if we're not making, as a drummer, if you look out in the audience and nobody's moving, then something's not quite right. You know, it could just doesn't have to be a lot of movement, just something. You know, just like a little head move like that. You know,
For sure.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I studied neuroscience among other things. My guests don't always know that, but when I was
Mm.
living in New York, I was doing my PhD at City University, and it's fascinating. I also studied birdsong, which is a
Mm.
great analog for music and rhythms and um, Messiaen. It was fascinating to learn that like Messiaen, when he was composing with birds in mind, a lot of what he was thinking about were the rhythms. But you're making me just think about how the human motor system is designed to entrain with other human beings. And
Mm-hmm.
even when you speak, um, I don't know that actually, this is my intuition actually from what I've studied, but I'm pretty sure this is what's going on. So you know how if have you ever done any hypnosis or even meditation, with like a
Meditation. Yeah.
yeah, or with like a yogist, you're taking a yoga class and then they start speaking. So point being, or you're a mother, you probably even noticed this. When speak, we speak with a rhythm. We speak with kind of a pulse. It's not as exactly on the beat, but there's a basic level of beat to our speech.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person's brain is entrains to that, even just the basic rhythm as part of its algorithm in trying to listen. So it can hear, it knows when the next syllable is coming, so it can process it more easily if it hears the rhythm that's happening.
Mm.
And thus, there's different levels of brain waves. There's faster brain waves, there's slower brain waves. When you go to sleep, the brain waves get slower. And again, I don't know if this is proven. My theory here is that, when you're hearing somebody guide you through a hypnosis, they start out quickly to kind of entrain to your current state, and slowly but surely they slow the speech down, right? And it's as though they're literally taking your brain waves, catching a hold of them, and you know, getting and like grabbing them and slowing them down. But as a drummer, you're sort of doing this all the time, right? And you have that capacity, that human to connect to that very basic human function. A lot of it
Mm.
happens in the cerebellum, the rhythms that are going on.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's very connected to you know primitive. They call them primitive aspects of the brain just because they're shared with more primitively evolved animal
Mm.
or organismal structures, and they are less connected to our conscious control. So these things, that's why you kind of can't help but move.
Yeah.
The rhythm goes, and your body starts moving. You're like, hey, look, you're, what's happening? Um,
Yeah.
and it's because they're more automatic, not going into the cortex for input. It's
Huh.
one of those basic functions. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, a little
That could be
tangent there.
a
Yeah.
whole nother podcast.
um. Yeah. So I know we want to make sure we're very conscious of time because you've got
Yeah.
got a hard stop. I want to. We can certainly check out some other. recordings. We could talk some more. Was there anything that you wanted to touch upon that we don't want to miss, um, before we
Yeah,
roll out?
I think, you know, a big part of the way I approach music and composing and drumming and all those things is because I like other human beings and I want to spend time with them and collaborate. I think that is something that AI cannot replicate. And I don't think, you brought up AI. I don't use AI very hardly at all. Maybe on some Google searches every once in a while, but I do. One of the things I love about the type of music that I play and teach, because I teach a lot, is that jazz can't really be replaced by AI. It has to be made by humans on real instruments, and I think that's something really special about that. And it's not exactly a popular music anymore, but it is a type of music that the people that do love it and who are moved by it. When I say moved, I could mean many things. I've been to shows where I'm like, you know, noticeably agitated when I leave the show, but the music was agitating and it was meant to agitate the audience. And I love that. I love that
Hmm.
about the music. And I've been to other jazz shows where I'm just joyful after a show, or moved in various ways, is basically what I mean. And I just think that's such a special part of it. And this music can't be made alone. And that's something that we really learned during the pandemic, right? We were all at home trying to do these online concerts and it just made no sense, or I was teaching many classes online, ensembles online, and we would make these recordings and people would send me their part recorded to click track, and then I would try to put it all together as a teacher, and it didn't do it, so I think for me the collaboration part of it is such a thrilling and fulfilling part, and when I perform this piece, and there's 11 of us on the that are traveling. There's the band, the three dancers, the sound guy, the tour manager. It's a lot of people. It's a
Yeah.
lot to manage, but once we're on stage doing it, there's nothing more thrilling for me because I get to collaborate with these incredible dancers and musicians. It's a really special thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sounds like we're on the same team here of trying to get people out and about and moving more.
Yeah.
I've been thinking of quite a bit about this lately, even as we all struggle with it ourselves, even those of us that have these opinions, we have phones, we have media and all these things, and part of the world is almost necessary. But I'm hoping, and again, hoping to be a part of this for the future of designing ways that people can be guided to do the things that are actually healthy for them, right? And part of this is just not to geek out. I don't know I'm doing this so much today, but onto the neuroscience side of it, the dopamine system is often what they highlight as being hijacked, by social media, right? And the way the dopamine system works is that it the dopamine spikes in it. It's part of those moments of motivation to sort of take an action. And oftentimes these days the action is, okay, I'll swipe again. And then you get a little squirt and then the dopamine spikes again. Oh, I'll swipe again. Right? But at its base, again, to go back to the drumming and the rhythm, um, it is a movement um, chemical in our body. It's associated with movement. So the fact it's a small movement when it makes you swipe or take a bite of a chip or something like that, but it gears us into action. And so again, I feel like you have that very interesting intersection there where rhythm is an intersection. You can shortcut those things and take people places. Maybe they feel like they don't want to go because what's going on here is simpler and easier and more guided, but take them where they really need to go, outside or with a group of people
Mm-hmm.
or to a show where there's some live jazz or something like this, right?
Yeah. I'm curious about that. You talk about the swiping, the movement, and how that
Hmm.
releases a dopamine. But doesn't it also isn't it also the anticipation of what is next?
That the
Like
dopamine is related to.
Yeah, or
Or
like you swipe on Instagram and it's like that second millisecond of like the next thing that's going to pop up is going to be the thing, you know,
mhm,
you
mhm.
know, the thing that's going to cure my inflammation or whatever it may be,
Yes, there's
you
a
know.
it's a there's a reward system there, and basically, um, and I haven't studied this as deeply as I used, but I think we'll get it approximately right. So basically, um, you need to be like as a human, we're not just a little sea squirt sitting in a shell. We move around. That's part of what we do, and so we need to make the decision to move. And we make those decisions based on reinforcements. So, did the movement I did lead to something rewarding, right? And in something like a even just fitting what you expected gives you the reward internally that reinforces the loop to do the thing you just did. So a really good example is like a potato chips or chocolate bars or something like that, depending on whether you like salty or sweet. You see it, you may go, I don't need that. And you'll probably be fine if you just didn't have that one square or that one chip. But something in your brain says, you've liked that before, go try it. You grab it, so you're motivated, you make the movement, you take it, put it in your mouth, and now because there's so much sugar or fat or whatever in it, your body gets flooded with these chemicals that say, hey, that worked. And so then it goes ahead and it gives you a little bit more dopamine to go ahead and do that same thing again. And the problem with like the social media or even the potato chips or the chocolate bar is, we evolved in other times where things weren't designed that these things are like designed to hijack the system. So you notice you get in these situations where it's much like eating potato chips or chocolate. It feels like you really need to go do that again. But once you do it, you're like, what the heck? Why did I do that? And it's because you're rewarded in a very systematic way to just reinforce you doing it again. You know?
Yeah, I'd rather be pulled to the drums.
I know.
Wait, I enjoyed that. Let me go do that again.
Yeah, and those things are much more enriching. I mean, the dopamine is, yeah. Anyway, so we don't need to go too deep into this stuff, but there's also a serotonin system which is much
Hmm.
more geared towards like the sort of long term in social things and the sort of satisfactory things, not the sort of in momentary pleasures. But it's all a dance to be metaphorical with which we've talked about today.
Mm.
Um,
It's interesting. Yeah, yeah, I mean, we could really go down this rabbit hole, but when I look at social media, I usually just end up feeling bad by the time I leave.
so yeah,
There's like it's like this there's a dopamine at first, but then it goes the other direction.
yeah, it's burning out the system because the
Mm,
system isn't designed to be, utilized like that. If
yeah.
if you go back to the food analogies, which make co-op, which are more tangible, it's like yes, when we were cave people, if you encountered like a lot of honey, for example, yeah, you better eat all of that because you might not encounter that again soon. But if you could just go get more at the grocery store,
Right.
you got a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, and then yeah, it burns out your system. Your system, your system kind of knows ultimately that it's not what you need. You don't have that sense of long-term satisfaction. But it's like you got a bunch of little personalities in our head that are fighting each other for uh for dominion at any given moment. But anyways, thank you so much, Allison.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we're starting to wrap because I know you got to end at the hour. But was there anything that you want to, share words of wisdom or calls to action to people? Go check out our website or a recording or come to a performance or book,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm probably speaking to a lot of musicians and
Sure.
technicians, but yeah, I mean, we need music. Our society needs music, and we as musicians can't do what we do if people don't come to shows. And really, there's nothing that can satisfy like a live music performance. You know, it's just a special thing. You know, it's why we have piano technicians. You know, it's just such an important thing. So I just, you know, I guess that's my message. You know, encouraging folks to go see shows and to, you know, think of ways to you know, to all the composers out there, think of ways to marry the things you love into your music. You know, for me, this piece that I wrote, Rivers in Our Veins, was me marrying my love for nature with music, and which are both very organic and natural. So, uh, yeah, as a composer, you know, think about ways that you can, you know, bring all this together and make a statement, you know, because,
Mhm.
you know, I think also as a jazz composer, I think we saw, at least I do, and I think a lot of people do, we forget that this music was invented to make social change, to change
Mm,
what was happening in America. So that's what this music is, and it should be edgy. It should push the envelope. It should break boundaries,
mm,
and make change. And so, and art has that the power to do so, especially right now. You know, with everything going on in the world, like, you know, sometimes I question what I do. I'm like, am I doing enough? You know, is making music help at all? You know, and I have many friends and colleagues who feel the same way, and I'm always reminded by my friends, yes, you have to keep doing what you're doing because music is important and music helps change. So
mhm. Yeah. And my comment too on that is, and I'm feeling it almost extra with you here today, is that we got to find ways to not be to force a little bit to push maybe our friends or family or whatever it is out. You know, I don't know exactly how it works, right? You don't want to be invasive, but I feel like they're already being pushed in, by all sorts of different forces, So it's like that thing where you call up your friend and you say, "Hey, want to go out tonight? I'm gonna go see a show," and they go, "Nah, I'm gonna watch Netflix," you know. But
that's
somehow
the
you can, yeah, go ahead.
that's the easy dopamine fix, you know?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
somehow you convince them and they come out and it's like you said, they go, "You know what? That was great. Thanks."
Yeah.
Right? So it's like do more of that to your friends and to your family and to yourself. Push them over that activation energy to do the thing which doesn't right feel like it's going to be so exciting in the moment, but it's going to be so great. And it's music, right? And it's
Yeah.
nature and all these wonderful things we brought up today and
Yeah.
movement. Yeah.
Movement. Move. If you can move. Yeah.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Well, I'll be efficient with our time today. I'm just going to walk us off with the outro of the program. If you're good with that, are you good to go?
Yeah.
Said your
Thank you so
piece?
much. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. We'll keep in touch. And next time I'm out there in Brooklyn, we'll be in touch. If you need a piano tuning, I've got you covered. Be in
Great.
touch about that as well. But yeah, I'll do the
My
outro. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say my longtime piano tuner Dan Levitan, great piano tuner. He recently retired.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, these folks know Dan.
Oh,
Like,
they know
yeah,
Dan?
anybody who listens here will know Dan. Dan's like a celebrity in the piano tuning
Oh,
world.
Dan Levitan, the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. And that was his domain, Brooklyn. He had that, like
Yeah.
that Brooklyn Brownstone domain. Um, Very cool. All right. Well, thank you again, Allison. Thank you, everybody. We have reached the end of another musical journey here at Piano Tech Radio Hour. Um, Thank you all for joining us today. As always, we're brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, cutting edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You join us today by signing up for this session individually. Hey, make your life more convenient. Subscribe to PTRH, 16 bucks a month. Recording today's session in the member area, registration for these sessions on the weekends. That's bit.ly/join PTRH, bit.ly/join PTRH. Don't forget about the podcast at pianotechradio.com. The Substack, just look us up there. Um, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and subscribe to the email list. And that one last call out, I'll say, my latest endeavor is grand vision, hopefully aligned with some of the things that we're talking about today, changing the future of education. Check out that podcast, UOTU.xyz. It's in pre-launch mode, but you'll get some cool content there. And you'll be one of the first insiders, UOTU.xyz. Allison, have a great rest of your Saturday. It was great to meet. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.